Hi, welcome to New Pioneer Presents. I'm Theresa Carbrey, Education Director for New Pioneer Co-op. Today, New Pioneer Presents is going to look at some of my seafood favorites. We've got a really busy show. Plan to make a number of different seafood items. We're going to make marinated swordfish kebabs. We're going to poach some salmon and Chardonnay with shallots. And then to end it, we're going to have a spicy sesame shrimp stir fry. So let's get started right off the bat. We'll take a look at our swordfish steaks. And these are available both frozen and fresh at the New Pioneer Meat Department. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a rather expensive piece of seafood here, the swordfish, and I'm going to be preparing it in a way that you'll be able to spread it out so it'll feed a larger crowd. So what I'm going to do is cut it in cubes. I'm going to leave the skin on in this case. It will sort of help the kebabs have a good shape. I'm going to put it in a marinade. The marinade that I've put together in this bowl includes a number of things. You can see it includes some ketchup and soy sauce, some good quality olive oil. I'm going to put in some parsley. It also has in it ginger. And the secret ingredient, or the special ingredient, is orange juice. So some people are doubtful, but I think that actually it comes out very well, and you'll like it. So here we are giving it a stir. You can see the ketchup. And now I'm going to finish preparing my cubes of swordfish for the kebab. And I'm going to put that in, and we'd like it to marinate for, say 30 minutes. Now when you're looking at this, you go, well, gee, I can see there's some dark flesh of the swordfish present. For example, this cube is mostly dark fleshed. Well, what do you do about that? People will ask me. And what I think is that I think it sort of has an interesting flavor. Depending on how strong you like your seafood or how delicate you like your seafood, some people perhaps would feed it to the cat. But I think it has an interesting and good flavor and kind of works with the others. So here I've put it together, giving it a stir, and now we're going to let it marinate for a half hour. Then we'll be assembling our kebabs. So there's the swordfish. The next thing we're going to do is take a look at some salmon. Okay, we have wonderful salmon steaks here. These salmon are raised in a farm sort of condition up in New Brunswick. Okay, so here's how it looks when you get your salmon. You can say, oh, gee, there's some little speckles on here. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to rinse this really lightly with some water that has a drop of lemon added to it, and that will rinse off the scales from the salmon. I'm going to do that now. So give it a little rinse off here. And then we'll pat it dry, and it will be ready to go. And of course, there's many wonderful things you can do with salmon. Salmon's probably one of the most popular items you could ever hope to find in a seafood department. Great on the grill, baked, all kinds of great things you can do with it. But because we have a focus on reducing the amount of fat in our diet, why don't we go ahead and poach it? And that will be a way in which no oils are used in the cooking, and those oils we take will be the healthful oils present in the salmon. So I'm going to go ahead and get my pan fired up here and get my poaching started. We're going to poach it in Chardonnay. I've got a good one here. And the recipe, how very strict you need to be, I don't know. It depends on the size of your pan and a few other factors. I have some very nice shallots here. So the shallots have been prepared. I'm going to put them into the white wine as well. A few carrots, some dill. Here I have fresh dill, so I'm going to put in a big chunk of it. I've reserved some still. The dill weed is available fresh in the market. I've chopped it a little bit. I'm going to throw in a bay leaf as well. Okay, now if you like, you can simmer this together until the wine is reduced just a little. You might add a drop of water and a little bit of soy sauce. So we're going to let that just simmer together. I might put a little more wine in. And we're really going to get the vegetables started cooking, so they'll be softened up. Poaching is a moist kind of heat. So we want this to be, oh, we want this to just sort of be simmering lightly. So our vegetables will poach and take up the good flavor of the wine. And we'll set our salmon steaks right on the side, ready to go in. And this is such an easy way to go. We'll set the salmon steaks here. Now, we talked a little about what we were going to do with our seafood kebabs, and certainly one doesn't need to do this with just swordfish. There are a number of seafood items that make a wonderful, wonderful kebab. And also, if you're at a party and you want to have a little more fun, you could perhaps have all the ingredients. In this case, we have some cherry tomatoes, as well as some peppers. I'd say peppers are essential to anchor your kebabs in place, because unlike meat, where the seafood will tend to get more delicate, and it will help to have something like a pepper anchoring either end. We're also going to include some mushrooms and some onions. So let's take a look at this. One way to do it would be to have all the bowls available and allow your guests to assemble what they prefer. And of course, some people will be heavier on the seafood and some people will be heavier on the vegetables. And that swordfish kebab looks very, very tempting. This one that's so heavy on the swordfish will be a favorite, I know. Okay. So we'll set that aside for the moment and take a look at some of the ingredients that will be featured in our shrimp sesame stir fry. The method of preparation that we'll be using on the shrimp is a stir fry, which is a very quick method of cooking. And what it involves is having everything ready. So what I've done, get my wok over here. I've purchased about a pound of shrimp. One of the things people say, well, gee, I really am in the mood for some seafood. And they go to a restaurant, and sometimes the seafood is the most expensive item on the whole menu. But they're in the mood, and they like it, and they go for it. But little realizing, with a bit of practice and a little bit of attention, one can put the entire $10 or $15 that one might have spent on a dinner right into the seafood itself. So you would have bigger servings of seafood and less of the salad and rolls and potatoes and so forth that come out of a restaurant. So cooking seafood yourself is really the best way to get a good value in terms of satisfying your hunger for seafood. So here we have some very nice shrimps. These are from Thailand. The waters are outside Thailand, and I've taken off their shells. This is about a pound, okay? And depending on, of course, your appetite, it might serve 2 to 4 people. The preparation of shrimp is not difficult. And if you can relax and enjoy yourself, I'll show you easily how to prepare a shrimp. This is what the shrimps look like. These are the mediums. So I got this many shrimps, and it's about $10 a pound for the medium shrimp. And that is our most popular size of shrimp. And I think they cook in about the right amount of time. Some of the big shrimps are too big, and the little shrimps take too long to shell. So you can see I can turn the shrimp out of its little hard case very easily. And if I give it just the right wiggle, I can come out with the tail intact. Okay, so once again, let's take a look at how I did that. Here we have the shrimp in its little shell, and here's its tail. So I take it by the legs, and I just pull the legs around and peel it out. So it's like a little crustacean shell. And then when I get down to the bottom of the tail, I break the base of the tail open like this, and that allows me, when I shuck the shrimp out of its case, to just lift the tail right out, like that, intact. So these are some great shrimps. They're going to be really good in the stir fry. Shrimp's very critical that you cook shrimps very quickly, or else they'll become tough. Perhaps you've encountered that. Okay, our seasonings in the stir fry will be garlic and ginger. And we better take a look at our poached salmon and see how it's doing. Oh, it's looking great. I'm going to get a spatula. Okay, so we want to test and see how done the salmon is. So we need a knife with a sharp point, and we're going to get right in there and take a look. Okay, we're going to go for the thickest part. Go for it. And see how it looks. Okay, now if you look in here very closely, I'll cut it more widely than I would if I were cooking for myself in order to help you see. Look, it's cooking very quickly. In the very middle is a darker colored pink, or darker colored salmon, I guess that would be the right word, telling me that the cooking has occurring both below and above, and the only portion of this salmon that's not done is this very thickest area right here. So it's coming along very well. I believe I'm just going to turn the heat off completely and just cover it with the lid. And you might say, well, gee, it's not really done yet. We just checked it and it wasn't totally done. But yes, there's lots and lots of heat in this pan, and I'm going to give it a little snuggle down and make sure that it's well covered. And just allow it to sit in the heat of the pan and the warmth of the vegetables surrounding it. Get the lid right on it. When it comes time to serve it, it will be completely done and not the least bit overdone. Really, you can't go wrong preparing salmon. Salmon has such a bright, wonderful flavor that whatever you do with salmon will almost certainly be popular and successful. Okay, so we've prepared our kebabs. And once again, we're going to be working, staying right with this, and I think I'll probably just pop these in the oven when I get them done and when I go on to my stir fry. Okay. We have a pastry brush and we have some marinade. And we'll be using that to baste our kebabs as they cook. So it doesn't take too long for the heat to come up on these little electric ones. So because this is the most heavily loaded kebab, we'll give it a place of honor right over a grill. And this one also. There's no adjustments on the heat on this, so I think it's just a matter of keeping an eye on it. Okay, I don't know as I'd really put much more than that on one of these little grills. I want to leave enough space around that the heat can circulate. Okay. It will just take a minute to cook this. And in the meantime, a little dab with the marinade. Add some flavor to the mushrooms as well. Mushrooms are a good way to extend a kebab because they kind of have a meat-like quality. They're very pleasing, and by the time they've been painted with some of the seafood marinade, they taste really good. It won't be long now. So what we want to see is it flaking apart. Okay, so if I can flake off a piece, well, I'll know it's done. And looking at this particular cube here, this big one, I can see it's not really done. This portion, the outer portion, is now opaque, and I think it's done, but I think the underneath side still needs some time. So we're going to give it a little minute more, a little more marinade. I'd say it's almost done. The moment I think it's really done, I'm going to pull it off of the grill, pop it on a platter, and put it in the oven. Keep it warm. In the meantime, I'm going to take a look at my sesame shrimp stir fry. I love sesame seeds. They have a good, hearty, nutty flavor. And I'm going to get my pan fired up. So it's sort of a medium heat. I'm going to be standing right here. I'm going to be keeping an eye on both these things. We'll see how well I do. I think I can swing it. I'm going to use sesame oil as my base oil. I'm going to be putting in, as soon as it gets hot, the ginger and the garlic. Now there's some controversy. Should one crush the ginger? Should one press the garlic? And my impression is that really I prefer not. I prefer to have them, after lots of discussion and lots of coaching from other sources, I think that the best effect when working with the ginger and garlic in a stir fry is to leave the ginger in little slices. That way there's not sort of the little particulate matter and dust and so forth that sticks in the bottom of the pan and burns. And those people that wish to eat the ginger, sort of a tasty little condiment, can do so, and the children can stack it to the side, or those that don't like that strong flavor of ginger. Boy, this is looking really good over here on the grill. Now I'm not going to give it any more anointing with the marinade because the marinade has contained the raw product. Okay? So it would be most healthful and suitable that the marinade and the seafood itself be fully cooked. So I've applied the marinade, and now I'm cooking the marinade and the seafood together, and I'm not going to apply any more of the marinade that contained the raw product from this point on in the cooking. An important health tip. Okay, things are looking really great here. See how our pan is coming? Looking pretty good. Could be a little hotter. Well, we might go for it. Okay, so what we're going to do is use these condiments to flavor the oil. Before I forget, I'm going to go ahead and put my dill on the top of my salmon. So this dill has not been cooked at all. This is the fresh dill. And I give this a stir. And the good flavor from the ginger and the garlic will go all in the oil. And I'm going to take care not to burn it, but just to get the good flavor out. Okay. I'm going to now throw in the green onions, the bottoms of the green onions. The thing to remember in stir fry is that those vegetables which take longer to cook should go in first, and the least cooking time go in last. I'm going to put in my shrimp. You'll know when the shrimp is coming along because it will just be starting to turn pink. I'm going to give it a minute to cook while I take my kebabs off. What do you think our biggest piece is? Right here. Let's see how it looks. Oh, it looks delightful. And can you see how that has been changed from being translucent to being opaque? And we'll put it on a plate, get it off the fire. Turn our attention to our shrimp. So as you can see, where the shrimp are pinking, you know they're getting done. Okay, at this point we're going to throw in some sesame seeds. These are the white hulled sesame seeds. They'll have a chance to sort of toast, add some good flavor. Add a little shot of soy sauce. Some do it now, some do it later, some do it both. The recipe I was working with suggested that one add it now. So probably that flavor of the soy sauce will be more taken up into the ingredients. Okay, looking pretty good. I think my flame could be just a bit higher. It won't take long. Now here's a characteristic flavoring when you're working with the sesame shrimp. You can have toasted sesame oil, which I apply with a generous hand, and no doubts, confident it will please a very wide range of people in the crowd. And here I have the hot pepper sesame oil. And I can only say that one must experience this and the intensity of it to determine what quantity should be used. I think I've got a pretty daring crew on board today, so I'm going to give it a splash. Now this won't take but another minute. Someone said, well, gee, how come some shrimps are pink and some are gray? And the answer is it's just how they come. These shrimps that we're getting from Thailand tend to be more of the gray sort. The Gulf shrimp, which we've gotten in previous times, would tend to be more of the pink, but they're all going to be pink when they're done. So figure going with the gray Thai shrimps is just an aid to helping you not overcook it. All right, this is smelling really good. The sesame oil that we used as the base oil, the flavoring sesame oil, and the sesame seeds themselves all work together to give us a good background of sesame seasoning. Okay, things are looking really good in here. And we're very close to being completely done. So just here in the last minute, I'm going to add the green onion tops. And so there we have delicious, juicy, fresh shrimps. A pound of them, ready to go. Pop it on the rice. We'll come back and show you just how nice these look on a plate and invite you to try some of my seafood favorites. So here we have our trio of seafood favorites, the swordfish kebabs, the salmon poached in Chardonnay with dill and shallots, and over here the shrimp stir fry seasoned with sesame. I'm Theresa Carbrey. This is New Pioneer Presents. Thank you for joining me.